Well, good morning from downtown Pittsburgh. We are once again at the Foundry here at Block 22. I'm Blake Benson with the Pittsburgh Area Chamber of Commerce, joined again by Randy Robinson, who's the Executive Director of the Small Business Development Center here at Pittsburgh State, along with the City of Pittsburgh Communications and Public Information team, here with more information on programs and resources that are available to our local businesses during this difficult time. Many of you joined us last week as we talked about two of the more prominent programs, Randy, in the Paycheck Protection Program and the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. And as we talked, we encouraged people to act quickly because the money could run out, and it turns out that was good advice.
Yeah, it ran out a couple of days later, and so we weren't for sure if it was going to be refunded or not to continue on. So Congress has been working on that through the weekend. The good news is, as of late last night, it looks like it is most likely going to get more money put into it. They're expecting that most likely it's going to get voted on today. The House most likely will pass it on Wednesday, and then the programs will get turned back on Thursday. But once again, the first round of it was $350 billion, and it got spent out in 14 days. And so this next round is $300 billion, so it could go out in another 2 weeks as well. So it's still one of those things that if you haven't done it yet, you need to go talk to your bankers. Even go talk to your banker today, even though the money's not going to be there to start opening up applications again until Thursday. Go talk to them now and get yourself ready, because we just don't know how long it's going to last. The SBA, with those 14 days, they did 14 years worth of SBA typical loans, 14 years in 14 days. So the volume is just incredible. And so when that money gets in there on Thursday, you want to be ready to go with it.
Certainly.
Because once this next round goes through, hard telling if you're going to get a third one.
So we pointed out last week with the Paycheck Protection Program, those loans are actually made through your financial institution. What about the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program?
The disaster loan program, the economic injury one, is made through the actual SBA. So
Okay.
only the SBA handles that. It does not go through your bank. And so the link is out there on our pittstatesmallbusiness.com website. Takes you to the link that you need to go to. It also has the step-by-step screenshot, walkthrough video to help you go through so you know exactly what you're getting into. And the biggest thing on the disaster loan one is to click on that button that says, do you want the up to $10,000 advance? Because that's how you get the forgivable piece.
Sure. So that Randy mentioned the website for the Small Business Development Center. It's pittstatesmallbusiness.com. It's a great resource. I encourage you, maybe while you're even watching us, to pull that website up because it's got good information on all of these programs.
Yes.
So last week the focus was primarily on those two programs because that seemed to be really what everybody was talking about because they're such great programs. Let's maybe talk this morning about some of the programs that are a little lesser known or the ones that are new, because as Randy and I were talking, there's never really been a time when these programs were in this much demand and when they were changing as much as they are right now. So let's start off with a program from the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS. That's not always an organization that you love reaching out to, but actually the IRS has some programs that can be of real benefit to businesses.
Yes, for small businesses, so anybody with employees 500 or less, the IRS for this, for the remaining part of this year, starting April 1st through 2020, there's really three main tax relief programs that they have. One is they will reimburse you for anybody that goes out on sick leave. So it's a paid FMLA. For anybody that goes out and they're dealing with either themselves or family members that have the coronavirus, or their doctor has said you're at risk so you cannot go into work. That's one of them. The other one is child care. So there's a child care one. So if people go out on the paid FMLA, the IRS will actually credit that back to the small business, the expenses paid for that. And that is if you your child is obviously if it was sick up in the sick leave one, but this is also if your school's shut down. So if your school's shut down because of coronavirus and you have child care expenses, this will help reimburse these small businesses for that kind of leave as well. And then third, and this one really was coming into play as soon as the PPP program last week ran out of money and they stopped taking new applications, because this is kind of the next one up. And this is the employee retention tax credit. And this is up to $5,000 per employee that the IRS will tax credit back to a small business for each employee. And so the technicality of it is it's 50% up to $10,000 of compensation. So it's not the 100% that the PPP gives you for the 8 weeks, but it's 50% up to $5,000 of a tax credit back per employee. So it's a good program. The PPP, for most businesses, PPP is going to be more advantageous. That's why it's getting the most deal. But if it runs out of money again, and in certain circumstances, there may be a business where this one might be more advantageous to them.
And so, how would a business apply for that? Directly through the IRS?
Yeah, this will be through an IRS tax credit. So this will be something that the small business would work with their accountant, their CPA on these items later on. Whereas the EIDL and the PPP are, hey, you got to do it right now, sort of deal. Make sure you don't run out of money. The other one has a little bit more longer time horizon for you to get that taken care of.
And of course, more information on that is available at pittstatesmallbusiness.com. I will encourage those that are watching Facebook Live right now, if you have questions, go ahead and ask those. Randy, you did a great job last week after our conversation of answering questions pretty well on the spot. Well, he can answer them right now if you ask, but certainly encourage you to send along your questions for Randy, because he's a wealth of information, because he and his team do an incredible job here at the Small Business Development Center. So let's talk about the brand new program that maybe a lot of businesses don't know, because it actually launched today. It's from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, called the Save Small Business Initiative.
Yes, that's that is a $5,000 grant for small businesses. It opens up today. There was a similar program like this that opened up a few weeks ago from the James Beard Foundation. It opened up and it closed down within a matter of hours because there was so much demand for the program. This one is from the U.S. Chamber. It opens up today. We have the link out on our website. It's basically, hey, I'm a small business. I need help. You're going to get this $5,000 grant, but you've got to be front in line. So you got to go out there and go get it. So go to the website, follow that link, and go get signed up for that one.
Yeah, and if I'm correct, the number of employees ranges between 3 and 20?
Oh, yeah. 3 and 20 employees, yes, thank you. So for companies with 3 to 20 employees, go out there and get signed up for that, yes.
And if you go to not only the Small Business Administration, but also SaveSmallBusiness.com, there's a lot of good information, and they really make it sound like an easy application process. Just you have to send your W-9 and tell us how you've been harmed by the coronavirus, and you'll be hopefully in line for that $5,000 grant.
Yeah, so if you go out there to at the Pitt State Small Business website, it says it's called out as Save Small Business Fund.
Sure.
So go out there, click right on that, and you get the information.
Okay, let's talk about maybe a debt relief option for those with existing Small Business Administration loans.
Yes, one of the, and this is a very, very good program. It's the SBA debt relief program, and like I say, it's for businesses with existing SBA 7A loans, 504 loans, and microloans. So those are your 3 main products that come out of the SBA from a loan in a normal sort of course of business. So a lot of companies have those loans. The SBA is actually going to make 6 months worth of payments for that. Principal, interest, all fees. That does not have to be repaid by the businesses. So if you're a business and you have one of those loans, all you have to do is go talk to your lender that you got your SBA loan through, whether that's a CDC on the 504 or it's a 7A for your bank. Go out and talk to them and make sure that you're getting that taken care of. And also, if you're doing direct payments out of your account, excuse me, if you're getting direct payments out of your account, you want to make sure you talk to your lender so that those don't keep getting pulled out of your account. Because this is really meant to give you debt relief for 6 months during this time to make sure that you can ramp up appropriately and save some of that money for other cash flow needs that you have. So that is for existing loans. The other caveat to that is, even if you were getting ready to take out a new one of those loans from the SBA before all this happened, you can still continue to go through that process. And if you take out a new SBA loan, that's a 7A, a 504, or a microloan, if you have that closed by September 27th of this year, so future, you haven't closed yet. You close on it before September 27th. They're going to pay for the first 6 months of those payments. So it's a fantastic program. So just make sure you're aware of that. Talk to your SBA lender and make sure you get that taken care of, because that's a huge program. And the biggest thing is make sure that you don't get tied up where some of your cash got pulled out when it didn't need to be. That's
Sure.
the biggest thing, because it's there for cash flow relief.
So how would someone find a list of SBA lenders in our area?
SBA lenders, you can go to our site, and for the PPP program, we have a link that takes you out to the SBA that says PPP eligible, so is the SBA eligible folks. So you can go click on that, and it'll show you all the SBA eligible lenders. In Pittsburgh specifically, most all your banks are going to be able to help you out with that.
Great information. Once again, PittStateSmallBusiness.com has a lot of this information and more, even programs we're not able to talk about today. Again, you and your team do a great job of keeping that updated.
Thank you.
So do we have any questions we do have questions. So Sarah's going to throw the first one out.
For those who've already applied for the EIDL program and didn't hear anything, is their application still valid, or do they need to reapply for the next round?
So just to make sure everyone heard that, for those businesses that may be applied for the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program that we talked about, most likely will be refunded later this week. If you've already filled out an application, is that still valid, or do you need to apply again?
You don't need to reapply. If you've already applied and it completed through the process, the fact that they're so overwhelmed with everything, the way it works is a $10,000 advance. The SBA at the beginning of last week had said that their goal was they were going to be caught back up by the end of the last week. And they thought they would be back on a regular schedule, start going forward, because they hadn't started making the payments until really last week. So if you already have one out there and you're waiting on that advance, I have heard of some people that have gotten that in already, that have already gotten funded. And so hold out for a few more days, because it very well could show up this week, the first part of this week, as they work their way through that backlog. Now for the loan itself, the actual EIDL loan, that typically they'll hear from them 3 to 4. You'll hear from the SBA 3 to 4 weeks after you submitted it, and they'll come back to you and let you know what you're approved up to, what your loan level is. So there's an 800 number you can call. If you call during the day, you're not going to get a hold of them. There's just too many people trying to contact them. You just will not get a hold of them. Set your alarm for the middle of the night. That's your best bet. If you call them in the middle of the night, you might be able to get a hold of them live. Otherwise, you just kind of have to set and wait on that, unfortunately, just because they're so overwhelmed.
Sure. And as Randy and I were visiting a little bit earlier, there's never been a time where there's been this much interest and this much participation in really any of the programs that are out there right now. So again, I know they're trying to keep up, but that's good advice to set your alarm in the middle of the night.
Yeah, that's your best bet.
Sure.
Otherwise, you're going to be on there for hours upon hours just waiting.
Any additional questions? That was a very good question.
The other question we've already answered just by repeating that website, but we might also remind people if do you guys have a phone number? Is there other ways that they can contact you?
Yeah, and by phone, you can give us a call at 620-235-4921. That is our central line, and then we'll pick that up and get back to you. And that contact information also is on our PittStateSmallBusiness.com website. Click on the contact us, and they'll have all that information for you.
Well, great.
As well as following us on our Facebook page, because on our Facebook page, a lot of times when something comes up, we'll kick it out there on our social media before we actually get it put on our website. Our website usually will lag that a couple of hours or whatever. Mm-hmm. So follow our Facebook too, and so that's Kansas SBDC at Pittsburg State.
And once again, this information is it's evolving and changing so quickly that really encourage you to check that website or Facebook page multiple times a day as you're getting ready to apply for these programs. And time really is of the essence as they become available. Apply for them, because there are lots of businesses out there that are applying for the same funds.
Yes. And you can also go to the City of Pittsburgh website. It has a link to our Pitt State Small Business website. So if you're out on the City of Pittsburgh website, you can find that when you click on the COVID resources page.
So thank you all for tuning in today. This is obviously a difficult time for all of us, but especially our small business community. And we want you, if you operate a small business in this community, please know that we're behind you. Many of us were here when you got started. We've helped you grow, and we're going to help you get through this difficult time as well. So thank you again for tuning in today, and just remember, we're all in this together.